What happens if someone got hurt and it was obvious whose fault it was, but they died before anybody ever talked to a lawyer about it? Can their family do something? A great question.
That is, and absolutely. And there's a couple of different scenarios in play with respect to this particular question. First, let's assume that the accident that we're talking about actually led to the death. In that case, you're talking about what is a wrongful death claim, and that has to be pursued by an estate that has to be opened in Florida, and that's the only person that has the right to bring that claim on behalf of that person that was injured that led to the death is the personal representative. And unlike a normal negligent claim in the state of Florida, which has a 4-year statute of limitation, that wrongful death claim by statute has a 2-year statute that it must be pursued within. So that's absolutely a claim and cause of action. The second scenario you have is, let's say that it was an injury and then you die of an unrelated cause, cancer, something else, totally unrelated to the accident itself. In that scenario, you also can still pursue the claim, and it's called a survival action. Once again, that has to be pursued by the personal representative, and a estate has to be opened, but it still falls under the normal 4 years of negligence, so that's also can be pursued. And even, let's flip the facts here a little bit as well. Let's say the person that caused the accident died, and you need to pursue a claim against that person, and that can be done as well. An estate needs to be opened up for that particular person, and if they have insurance, that can still compensate you and provide a relief. So in any scenario, and any of those different criteria are met, you can still pursue a claim. The claim does not die with the death, but there are different statutes that you have to deal with in timing, so it's important to seek out a lawyer as soon as you know that there's something that needs to be pursued so that things can be preserved and things can be properly prosecuted.
Ted, what if the family finds out, later on? I know some family members maybe aren't, close with certain family members. They maybe find out 6 months after the death, maybe a year. What is that time limit that they do need to be aware of in that situation?
If it's a wrongful death, you have a 2-year statute of limitation that you're going to be dealing with. If the accident that led to is not what caused the death, then you're dealing with the normal 4-year statute of limitations. But it gets a little trickier if the defendant is the one who passed away. Then you can have claims bars through the probate process. So it's important that if you know that someone caused the accident and then that person passed away, you need to file what's called a caveat in the probate court so that you are provided notice if and when an estate is opened. And many times, as the person that needs to pursue a claim against an estate, the creditor, which can be the personal injury claimant, is the one who actually has to open the estate in order to pursue that, because you have to first pursue and open up a claim in an estate before you can then pursue a claim in the civil courts. It's a very complicated process, and it's important that you seek out proper help both with opening an estate, whether it be as the creditor or as the claimant, and also pursuing that cause of action. So it's important to do that sooner rather than later, because even if you still can do it, if you wait too long, Courtney, you start dealing with evidence that can be lost. As we talk about frequently on this show, there's surveillance footage that's captured in all kinds of scenarios, whether it be gas stations, convenience stores, big box stores, and you want to make sure and get all that information preserved as quickly as possible. So it's always important that you get out and get ahead of things, because things will go away, so you want to get on it as quickly as possible once you have that information.
But Ted, that's also why they want to reach out to you guys as soon as possible, because like you said, and I was going to ask you about this is a complicated process when these things do happen. So by reaching out to you guys will help with gathering that evidence and making sure they have all their ducks in a row, so to speak, right?
Right, and it's complicated in a prototypical run-of-the-mill case, but when you start talking about someone that's passed away and the need to open estates and administer those and to make sure the claims are properly preserved and not lost, it just adds another layer of complexity. So not only in the other evidence gathering, preserving, putting all the proper people on notice so that you can have those avenues of recovery that you can hopefully give you some compensation towards making you whole. That's one level of it, but that estate process makes it even more difficult, so it's even extra important that you seek out proper legal counsel in those scenarios.